crypto warriors, changing our world day by day. The way of the crypto warriors, can't rely on the bankers, no way.
Good morning, Bix Weir, Roto.com. With your morning horns is your sip of chaga coffee. All right, lots going on today. Bigger than the reporting of in the mainstream media. Evergrande missed their payment yesterday. It was the largest, 2 payments totaling $250 million was not paid by Evergrande. Now it's in the hands of the regulators. Now, given they have a 30-day window when their payment is late to pay. The same thing happened in the November 6th payment. The regulators gave them 30 days, and then after 30 days, they had I forgot the name of it, but they were in default, but it was a selective default is what they called it. And that was $85 million or $82 million of a interest payment. This one's $250 million. The regulators cannot continue to say these are selected defaults and not a default of the company, which triggers a bunch of other things. So we have a situation now where, not the regulators, the rating agencies, that's the big deal. Because when the rating agencies, there's basically 3 of them, S&P, Moody's, and Fitch. When the rating agencies declare Evergrande in default, it triggers all kinds of derivatives. It triggers immediate payment of the bonds. It would basically force them into bankruptcy if they followed the law that the bankers want them to follow. They are not going to follow the law that the bankers want them to follow. Just keep that in mind. They're following whatever the Chinese government tells them to do. And the Chinese government says, do not pay anybody on your bonds. Put all that money into building, continuing to finish off the apartments for the people that you sold them to. None of that money will go to foreign investors. But much like the housing crash in 2008, the rating agencies are way behind the ball. Now, the question this time, they got in a lot of trouble, paid millions and millions of dollars in fines for being so fraudulent with the housing market back then. Will the rating agencies do the same thing? Or will they declare Evergrande in default? They have to declare them in default overall at some point. My only question now is, do they do it now that they've missed this payment? And they have not recouped anything of the other payment? They should be declaring Evergrande in default today or tomorrow. If not, it'll happen within 30 days. But today, it's such a gigantic difference as far as what these criminal banksters report on their books. If the rating agencies declare Evergrande in default now, then all the bonds have to be revalued for year end for 2021. If they call them in default after the 30 days is up, which is the end of January, then that's when they have to declare all the bonds have to write them down, basically. Very interesting times. I tend to believe the rating agencies have to come out and say something this year. I don't know if it'll be official declaration or saying they missed their payment and they have 30 days. So we will find out very soon. Go to the timeline article at Roto.com and you'll get the full skinny of how I think it's going to all play out over the next few months on private road. Let's talk about the big thing that I want to talk about today, silver. Silver and price manipulation. I don't know anybody who's selling silver at this point other than the criminal banksters who have to sell it to keep the price down. Bank of America is the fall guy, I believe now. They have a massive short position and a doubled up short position of leased gold through JP Morgan. Leased silver through JP Morgan. Ted Butler seems to think it's half a billion ounces of physical that Bank of America has borrowed. And they don't borrow this silver. There's no purpose to borrow silver other than to rig the price. They'll borrow the silver and then they'll pluck it into something like SLV as an authorized participant, or they had people saying, okay, you have to cover your short. And on the COMEX, it is very clear that Bank of America was the massive delivery agent, 25 million ounces out of the 45 million from a single entity. And that entity has no business. It's from their home account, their house account. It's from Bank of America. Has no business being in the silver market to that extent. They have no use for silver. It's a speculative play, and where are the regulators? I mean, my God. The Hunt brothers had 100 million ounces of silver and then went, I think, 110 million ounces long on the COMEX. And they said, oh my God, you're trying to corner the silver market back in 1980. This is Bank of America, one of the largest banks in the world, borrowing physical silver from the largest bank in the world, JP Morgan, for nefarious purposes. What those purposes are, I don't know. It's not just stupid trading. Oh, the trading went rogue. This had to be approved at the highest levels of JP Morgan and the highest levels of Bank of America, as in the board and the president and all that. So there is some serious shit going down. Now, what I want to get to the heart of is the criminal ringleader of JP Morgan rigging the silver market. And I hope everybody sees, looking back, it's very easy to see. Let me show you a little progression. I was screaming about 9/11 on 2019. 9/11, something's going to happen. Through the Road to Rudo research I had, and something did happen. What happened was JP Morgan pulled the rest of their money out of the repo market, thus collapsing the repo market and having the repo market spike up to 10% that next Monday. And it's a big deal. It's a huge deal. So right here, Zero Hedge caught it. A dollar funding storm is set to hit landfall in weeks. What happens next? Monday is the repo market spiked to 10%. That's Jamie Dimon. That's JP Morgan attacking. And then Trump hit back really hard the same day and charged the current and former metals traders charged with multi-year manipulation, racketeering, conspiracy. So it's not only the traders, but the company, they call it Bank A, which was JP Morgan. And they went after them with racketeering. That's the thing they got the Al Capone and the mafia with. Racketeering, a conspiracy to commit financial crimes. This is such a big and obvious part of the war between the good guys and the bad guys. And then it kept going. They kept going after JP Morgan. Every time JP Morgan didn't do what Trump and those guys wanted, they go after him. Friday, November 15th, 2019, superseding indictment charges former precious metal salesman with racketeering conspiracy. They had another guy to it. And the heat was on. The good guys were taking no shit from the bad guys. And then here we have, a year later, September 29th, you notice it's right before the end of the fiscal year and right before the new administration came in. JP Morgan agrees to pay $920 million in connection with schemes to defraud precious metals and U.S. Treasury markets. The most important thing about this is not the $920 million. Obviously, they made a lot more than that over the last 20 years. The most important thing is they signed a deferred prosecution agreement. And what that is an agreement, and I have the agreement right here. I'll read you part of it. Or I did have it. Where is it? There it is. I'll read you part of it, but JP Morgan, did violate the deferred prosecution agreement with this. On December 22nd of last week, JP Morgan Securities will pay $125 million to the CFTC for communications violations and messaging. JP Morgan has arrived at 2 settlements over record keeping and communication violations. These violations include using unapproved channels such as WhatsApp and personal text messages. One settlement is with the SEC and one settlement is with the CFTC. The settlement with the SEC is with JP Morgan brokerage firm, blah, blah, blah. The broker-dealer did not preserve these records, which was required by law. JP Morgan Securities acknowledged that the use of these unapproved avenues of communication was common knowledge and practice, including among senior level employees and supervisors. Now, why is this important? Is because JP Morgan didn't offer this up. This is found out later, and this was not, JP Morgan didn't tell anybody about this. The SEC and the CFTC found this out on their own, surprisingly. They had a tipster. The brokerage firm admitted to the failures and violations, included in violating regulations and the firm's own policies and procedures. So here's the deal. By doing this, and by the way, none of the SEC and the CFTC got none of these messages. Now, the obvious answer to anything like this, any text, it's like the Hillary Clinton emails. The obvious answer is, hey, this is a two-party, two-sided discussion. All you have to do is go to the other side if you want those text messages. So if JP Morgan trader is texting with a Deutsche Bank trader and JP Morgan loses his text, the other side of that text, you can go to Deutsche Bank and say, yeah, I want to see this text, every text you got from this guy. Now, if Deutsche Bank burned their records as well, then you got an issue. But this is not saying that at all. This is saying JP Morgan didn't save any of the text communication. And we all know that the NSA has all communication from everything. So, I mean, it's all a dog and pony show. But the reality is, and the big thing is, that JP Morgan violated, 100% violated their agreement with the DOJ to pay $920 million, and JP Morgan entered into a deferred prosecution agreement in connection with the information filed today. So I looked up the deferred prosecution agreement and what happens when they breach the agreement, and listen to what happens. If during the term the company or related entities commit any felony under U.S. law, which this is a felony under the SEC rules and regulations, the company or related entities provide in connection with this agreement deliberately false, incomplete, or misleading information, including in connection with their disclosure of information about individual culpability, the company, the related entities, and their subsidiaries and affiliates fail to cooperate, as set forth in paragraphs 5 and 6 of this agreement. The company and the related entities fail to implement a compliance program, as set forth in this agreement. The company or related entities otherwise fail to completely perform or fulfill each of their obligations under the agreement, regardless of whether the fraud section and the office has become aware such a breach of term is complete. The company or related entities and their affiliates shall thereafter be subject to prosecution for any federal criminal violation of which the fraud section and the office have knowledge, including and not limited to the charges in the information described in paragraph 1, which is this: racketeering. This case is wide open again. This is not settled. The DPA has been violated by this, by JP Morgan. The SEC knows it. The CFTC knows it. And now you know it. And what happens when they're in violation of a deferred prosecution agreement? The case can continue. There is no settlement. They're going to lose their $920 million, and they're going to be strung up under RICO charges. That's a battle between the good guys and the bad guys. Jamie Dimon, it said all the senior employees and bosses were doing this illegal as well. Of course, Jamie Dimon knew about the silver manipulation and gold manipulation. Of course, Blythe Masters knew about silver manipulation, gold manipulation. Yeah, they strung up 4 JP Morgan traders, but their bosses knew as well. And this breach on JP Morgan, we all know there's millions of breaches that JP Morgan makes, can open the case up again. So when will it be open? I think when silver breaks out at $30, breaks over $50, everybody's going, what the fuck's going on? It's very clear to me that's when they come down hard on JP Morgan and people go to jail for racketeering. This case is not closed. I just wanted to point out also, JP Morgan, remember when Jamie Dimon said, anybody who buys Bitcoin is going to be fired? And the price of Bitcoin went down, and then we found out that JP Morgan was buying Bitcoin in Europe. Yeah, the guy's a freaking criminal, unbelievable criminal on so many different levels. But the big thing, JP Morgan is all over blockchain money transfer, blockchain technology through JP Morgan Technology Services or whatever they're calling it. Here's JP Morgan uses blockchain technology to help improve money transfers. That's basically XRP. And JP Morgan already has half the banks of the world signed up for this, by the way. And I'm screaming to people, hey, no one's going to use XRP to replace Swift. They're going to invent their own, and JP Morgan invented their own. But here's the problem. Just like XRP, JP Morgan is infringing on Reggie Middleton's patent. It's obvious. JP Morgan upgrades blockchain payment messaging service. Again, an infringement on the patent. Onyx by JP Morgan launches blockchain in space. Pressing deeper into the Internet of Things, JP Morgan executes blockchain transactions between satellites. So JP Morgan is all over abusing the Reggie Middleton patent. Reggie is going to serve them notice before the end of the year, so by tomorrow. Reggie will be serving a lot of companies notice that they are infringing on their patent. Why does he do it by the end of the year? Because they're going to have to include it in their annual report. They are required by law. Public companies are required by law to include any risk at all in their financials. So yes, the patent Reggie got delivered to him the beginning of December is very powerful. So Reggie's going to be the man. Now, will the Veritasium tokens that are out there, the 2 million that are out there, be worth, be used? Reggie's already said he wants them to be, but, we'll see. We will see. I think absolutely. I think there's a reason they didn't burn the 98 million tokens that Reggie had. They confiscated them and they froze them. They have not moved from those wallets. I believe at some point Reggie will get those tokens back, as he should. And the SEC can't go after him now because they already charged him. There's no double jeopardy. So it's all working out. And obviously Gary Gensler knows everything about blockchain, so voila, you got Reggie Middleton to take down a hell of a lot of these DeFi companies. So careful what you invest in cryptos. All right, and on a final note, Ghislaine Maxwell was found guilty. Completely set up trial, completely set up. Prosecutor was baloney. It was Comey's, daughter or something? Give me a break. Deep State investigating the Deep State. Now it's in the hands of the judge. She got found guilty of 5 out of 6 charges. The judge is in on it, so she's probably not going to get much of a sentence. It could be up to 70 years. Why they only brought 4 witnesses? Not 4 witnesses, 4 of the accusers instead of 20 of them? A lot of people are asking that question. It was a setup trial, so basically she'll get probably, my guess, maybe a year or 2 out of the 70 because the judge is bought and paid for as well. That's my take. Anyway, any questions? Go to roadtoruder.com. I'll be talking to Jenny Moonstone today. We're going to get deep into what's going to happen over the next couple months, over the next couple days too. And I got a couple special readings we're going to do. So make sure you check that out on the private road at roadtoruder.com. I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, it's time to have a little fun with our friends on the comics. This song goes out to that big old gigantic naked short out there. You know who you are. It's kind of lonely at the top, ain't it? I thought I heard the people say, pay me my silver now. Tomorrow's another trading day. But pay me my silver now. Watching the comics prices rise. Pay me my silver now. JP Morgan naked shorts the highs. Pay me my silver now. Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now. CFTC, you better shut it down. Pay me my silver now. There's people rising up in every town. Pay me my silver now. The Gatta boys are in the know. Pay me my silver now. tinfoil hats at the silver show. Pay me my silver now. Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now. Butler nails you every time you try. Pay me my silver now. The BPS shows how much you lie. Pay me my silver now. The game is done when the silver's gone. Pay me my silver now. Comex medal in the warehouse, none. Pay me my silver now. Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now. The banking boys melt that witch. Pay me my silver now. Deliver those bars and melt that bitch. Pay me my silver now. Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now. 'Cause now is the time to free our land. Pay me my silver now. Silver in my pocket, paper in the can. Pay me my silver now. Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now. Pay me, pay me, pay me my silver now. Pay me or go to jail. Pay me my silver now.